Part 9, the final part. I'm in my isolation room for another week still. There's more tests, I have more ups and downs. I sit on the balcony when I can and drink my Modulin and my special juice. I have slow showers and spend a lot of time in the bathroom still. I didn't realize how much muscle I had lost until I was getting out of the shower. I wanted to stand on one leg while I dried the other, but I couldn't do it. I didn't have the muscles to do it anymore. I had to sit down and dry my legs like that. Even bending over to reach my feet didn't work because I still had liquid on my abdomen. It actually gave me quite a fright when I leaned on one leg and I almost fell over because of the lack of muscle. The one afternoon I was sitting in my bed and I had one knee up. I changed into normal pajamas since I'd moved into my isolation room. I only got my amazing gown when I went for tests. Dr. Professor walks in and sees my leg. I didn't realize I was losing weight because of my massive stomach. But when he saw my leg, he sees I don't have a calf anymore. It's just bone. Dr. Professor asks the nurse to please weigh me. She helped me get my shoes and she walked me out my room, literally just one room down to where the scale was. She slowly helped me onto the scale. I had lost 10 kgs and this was with my swollen stomach still. So I don't even know how much I would have weighed if I didn't have that swelling on the stomach. Even standing hurt. There was no padding on my heel, so it felt like my bone was hitting the floor every time I walked. I didn't even know that was a thing. On my way back to the room, I noticed for the first time because, well, I haven't been allowed out until now. I'm still not allowed to leave, but I've got to see the outside of my room for a moment. On my door was a bunch of signs and warnings about how contagious I am and all the proper procedures to follow. All the beware and danger and highly contagious signs were on there. I'm like, whoa, this is like in the movies. Oh my word, I am the zombie. I am patient zero. Awesome, but not awesome, but also awesome. I don't know how to respond to this. And I made my way back into the room with a huge grin on my face, playing over all these movies in my head. The room I was in was nearby the hospital restaurant, so I could smell the food. It didn't bug me at first, and I was past the stage where even thinking about food made me nauseous. But now, after a week, having these smells waft into my room, they started making my mouth salivate. I was getting hungry. For the first time in a long time, I was getting hungry. Because I hadn't been allowed to eat, it does eventually start to mess with you. So in the beginning, just thinking about food made me nauseous, but then by the time I reached hospital 3, it didn't make me nauseous anymore. I wasn't hungry, but I wasn't missing food. And now I was also realizing how I had taken food for granted. I had to find a way to cope with it and give me something to look forward to once I leave isolation. I started watching food shows and recipes and food videos and just anything. And I started taking notes in my sketchbook, writing out recipes, and just, finding cool things. A nurse commented on, why are you doing this to yourself? And all I said was, hey, it's helping me, which it was. Even today, I'll still refer to a recipe as, oh, this is my ICU recipe. But now in the isolation ward, the smell from the restaurant had been coming into my room every day. Now I was actually starting to get hungry. Something I hadn't felt for a month now. The smell would waft in, filling my nostrils with delicious smells. The videos weren't working anymore. Now they were just making me hungry. And I knew what I wanted. I wanted pizza. To be exact, a bacon and banana pizza. Do not judge me, okay? That's what I like and that's what I wanted. I even joked about putting the pizza into a blender so I could have it as part of my liquid diet. But that defeats the point because I wanted to chew. Chewing food. Wow. I never realized how for granted I took chewing food. I'd even just sit with my Modulin and find myself subconsciously chewing the liquid. I just laughed at myself a few times. There's nothing I could do. My brain just wanted to chew something. Some friends came to visit me after church on Sunday. They carpooled and drove through to the city. When my parents saw them, they said they'd see me tonight and to enjoy my visit. I had such a good laugh with them. They all had to wear plastic aprons coming in, and so my brother-in-law was playing with his plastic aprons, making bubbles. Another friend was tearing hers up and making a skirt with it. They stayed way over visiting hour, but no one told them to leave, and because I was in my own room, no one seemed to notice. I also didn't want them to leave. It was a taste of normal life again, and a reminder that life goes on, and I want to be part of it. After that, they all went to where my parents were staying to have lunch together, and they decided to have pizza. I live vicariously through them as they sent me photos and videos of the afternoon before heading back out of the city. I thought I'd grab my sketchbook and try sketching again, but I had no inspiration, so I just started doodling, and that's when I got a fright. I was struggling to draw. The thing that felt so natural to me that I could help process things and that I would just do for fun wasn't working. I thought I lost my ability to draw. I put my pen and paper down and thought, no, maybe it's just because I have a drip in my hand and it's uncomfortable. Also, I haven't drawn in a while, so I'm out of practice. But What if it's gone? What if I've lost that ability? That hits hard. I'm not good at sports or studying or being organized. This is what I can do, and now I can't? I had to catch myself, stop myself from spiraling and letting depression settle in again. Put on the garment of praise. Okay, God, I don't know why I'm struggling, but I'm going to trust you, and I'm going to work hard to get it back. It took me a few months for it to eventually come back and feel normal again, but it did. The 10th of February, 45 days since I've eaten. Dr. Professor says we're going to start introducing food back into my life and also to watch how I respond to it. There was still the thing of the original reason why I went into hospital, and Dr. S thought it was Crohn's, but Dr. Professor wasn't sure. He had said his main focus had been dealing with the superbug because that was the life-threatening thing. So the morning rolls around and I'm brought in my first piece of food that I can eat. I get a banana. I ate that banana so slowly and just really enjoyed chewing. Chewing, guys, chewing. Don't take it for granted. 45 days of no food and now I get to chew and eat a banana. I had no adverse reactions to it. My body wasn't rejecting the food. I wasn't sitting in pain. I was able to keep the banana down. So the next day I was given a banana again for breakfast and then scrambled egg for lunch. Wow. I never knew scrambled egg could taste that good and fluffy and just all out amazing. My parents said that because I was now starting to eat and there seemed to be no side effects, that they could breathe a little again. The third day again, I got a banana and then a scrambled egg. And then we just went for the big guns. Spaghetti bolognese! So on day 3, when I got my scrambled eggs again, they gave me a slice of tomato. I took a photo and sent it to my parents. My dad messaged back telling me not to eat it. I'm like, it looks so good. And it's just sitting there, looking at me. I'm gonna eat it. He's like, no, you can't. He looks at my mom. Tell her she can't. I ate it. My mom pointed out that he would have eaten it too. It's been 45 days. On the 14th of February, I had some mashed potato. I never knew mashed potato could taste so good. I even got a piece of chocolate cake. We are finally at the place where we can talk about me being discharged. Dr. Professor says that he wants me to continue with oral vancomycin for at least another week. He'll organize that now, and if anything changes, I need to come back straight away. He talks to my parents about the next steps. He says he never thought that this day would come. He looks at each of my parents and says to them, whatever higher power you depended on, work and keep doing that. Because I can tell you why she should be dead, not why she's alive. All I can say is, God is good. February the 15th, 2014. After spending 52 days in hospital, I am finally released and I walk out of there. There was a long journey afterwards to recovery. My stomach took months to come down, and it took me a long time to get my weight back up. Only recently did I finally reach my goal weight. 3 months after I was discharged, my hair fell out. From the stress and the medication and everything that I was on, it just fell out. It slowly grew back again, and I continued with my recovery. The first year after I was discharged was the most dangerous in terms of relapse and having the superbug come back. It didn't. In that time, I wasn't allowed to use antibiotics. If I got sick or anything, I have to write it out. I cannot use antibiotics for the risks of relapsing. After a few years, I was then given the green light and allowed to use only certain types of antibiotics at a really low dosage. Even now, I can't handle strong or high doses of antibiotics. The dietitian helped set me up with a new diet. I had to change a lot. I went for an IgI test to test for allergies, and I found 3, 2 of which were in a lot of our foods in South Africa. So I had to adjust my diet, completely changing it. It took me about 2 years to have those changes become second nature and my new normal, but I'm still very careful with what I eat. Hospital 1 is still running and Dr. S still works there. All medical personnel in that town won't talk to me or my family. And the ones that do talk to my parents don't talk about what happened at all. Some staff seem angry at us, but we never accused anyone of anything and never threatened anyone with court. I bumped into Dr. S a few months after I was discharged. He kind of stood in a way that you couldn't see me, but I made sure you could see me. He offhandedly commented, "Oh, what was supposedly wrong with you?" I told him it was a hospital-acquired superbug called C. diff. He said, "Well, I've never heard of that," and walked out back to his car. It took me a while, but I've forgiven Dr. S. We never found out the original cause of what landed me up in Hospital 1 in the first place. To this day, I still don't know. All the tests are inconclusive, and I've been through a lot of tests. If it's allergies that went crazy or something else that we can't figure out, I have no idea. It's hard to not have an idea, but it's okay. Sedatives still don't work on me. And every time I go in for scopes, I'm fully awake. It is torture. My last scope was in March 2022. After that torturous hour, I'm done. I don't want any more. It's exhausting, painful, and I relive it multiple times, so I'm done. I'm on chronic medication to deal with the chronic pain. I still get days where I'm in so much pain, my body just can't handle food, so I have to cut out food for a few days to give my body a break. I still use Modulin on those days, and I still think it tastes nice. My gallbladder was removed in 2021 and helped lighten the pain so much that I can live a semi-normal life again. Now, if I have a bad day, it doesn't last for like a week on end. It lasts for like a day or two where I can't eat any food, and it doesn't happen as frequently as it used to happen. So I'm grateful for that. I was also diagnosed with PTSD, and I had to deal with survivor's guilt, because why did I make it and others didn't? I still actively work in getting through my PTSD. I use exposure therapy to help me deal with it in the beginning. Panic attacks are much less frequent and severe, but there are still triggers. The smell of disinfectant is one of them I struggle with. Depression will also try and roll in from time to time, and I have to be careful not to fall into that ditch again. And I've fallen a few times, but God's always been there to help me out of it. This time changed my life. It changed my perspective, and I had a new normal to get used to. I thank God that I survived and it wasn't worse. God's been faithful in walking through me, and He's never left my side. In the Bible, Paul talks about a thorn in his side, and he hopes God would take it away. But if He doesn't, He's still God, and Paul will not stop serving Him. I feel that. I wish the chronic pain would go away, and I know God can take it away. But I'm not going to turn my back on God if He doesn't. He's got me this far. I know He'll get me further. After my hair fell out and then grew back again, some of it actually grew back grey, like Rogue from X-Men, but not as much as hers, but a patch of it did grow back. I thought about hiding it, but I was like, no, this is a reminder of what I've been through, a reminder of what God has done for me and how far He's brought me, and a reminder that life is special. And it's a reminder that I get to grow older. I'm happy to be alive, and I'm thankful that God has given me a second chance. Thank you for sticking it out for 9 parts of this. I do really appreciate it. I appreciate the comments and the things that I hear about it. No matter what you're going through, I can just encourage you to trust God, to trust that He has a plan for His good and for His glory, and to put on that garment of praise.